Hi everybody. You know, a lot about how to garden, learning how to garden, is through trial and error. You know, most of us are not professionally trained. Yeah, we can watch gardening TV shows, read books, but a lot of it is just about getting out there, getting your hands in the dirt, and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work. And sure, there'll be casualties along the way, but that's okay. It's your gardening space. It's your garden. It's your space to be free and to try things. And I love experimenting. And today I want to show you 2 experiments that have worked. So my first experiment involves celery. So about, 6 weeks ago, I was chopping off celery stalks and I just had the base and I was about to chuck it into the compost pile. And I thought, no, I remember hearing about people regrowing plants from the bases of the plant, like spring onions and celery. So I thought I'd have a go as well myself. So I took the celery and I just put it in this jar with some water, and look what has happened. I just kept it next to my kitchen sink in a sunny spot, and I changed the water regularly. Over the weeks, the stalks have grown, the leaves have grown, and look at all that lovely root growth. It's just incredible. But now what's happening is the leaves are starting to get a little discolored, and I suspect they need to get into some soil. And if it continues to grow, eventually I'll put it into my vegetable patch and I'll have had a brand new plant from one that was about to be discarded. Isn't that awesome? I think so. Right, so let's get this into some soil. So I've got my pot, I've washed it. I'm gonna scoop out some soil. All right, I'm just gonna place it in. Look at those lovely roots. Enjoy your new home. And yes, I do talk to my plants. And no, it doesn't mean that I'm crazy. It just means that I'm enthusiastic. So I'm just adding in some extra soil. And there we go. Add some water. And hopefully, with any luck, that's going to keep growing. So the second experiment involved a tomato. And this tomato was in a warm, sunny spot in our kitchen. And when I went and cut it open, I discovered that some of the seeds inside had actually germinated. There were little sprouts coming out of the tomato. And this to me was just incredible. And I thought, right, I've got to see if I can let this growing process continue. So what did I do? I took those germinated seeds and I very gently put them in some soil in a yogurt pot. And look what has happened. Result! There are 8 tomato seedlings in this one little yogurt pot. And it is really time that they each had their own home. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to prick them out. And this is a gardening expression, a gardening term for basically giving each seedling its own little pot, its own little home, so that it can continue growing. And so that the roots of each plant have their own space to grow. Right, so what I'm going to do, you have to remember that these tomato seedlings are like little babies, all right? They need lots of care. You don't want to shock them, you don't want to stress them, you want to make sure they're well watered. I've watered these every single day. And now I'm just going to gently squeeze these out, and I'm just going to very, very gently start separating these plants, loosening up the soil. You can really take your time here. Ah, there comes one. There comes another. It's incredible how tightly packed these are, but also how strong the roots, the stems are. I mean, look at that. And I don't want to damage. Ah, there we go. That's easier. Okay, I've loosened it up, and now just by gently pulling on the stems, So you see, I've got quite a nice root ball there. And what I will do now that I've separated all those, I don't want to leave them too long like that because the roots are going to dry out. So I've got all my pots ready. I've washed the pots. You don't want to use old pots that haven't been washed because it does increase the risk of infection. I'm going to just gently fill that up to the top. I'm not going to press the soil down. I want it to be nice and loose. Use my fingers to create a hole, and in it goes. And with tomato seedlings, actually, you can put the stem further down into the soil and it'll create new roots on the stem. So don't be worried about that. Look, I'm putting it right down to where the 2 original seed leaves were on this one. And I've just saved some old trays from plants that I've bought in the past. And it's quite a lovely job to do. I love the feeling of the soil on my hands. I find it quite therapeutic. And look at that beauty. Just such an... Ooh, that one needs a bigger hole. Quite a lot of roots on there. Okay. And I find it useful to have a little tray like this white tray so that all the excess soil, I can make a mess and then I can scoop that soil up afterwards. All right, look at that. You know, and the reality is that not all of these plants may necessarily survive, but if you grow enough, then at least some should make it to the very end. And you're going to be able to harvest some lovely tomatoes. And of all the vegetables that I grow, tomatoes are the ones that really, they just taste so amazing, and you cannot compare the tomatoes that you've just picked off the vine to a tomato that you've bought at the supermarket. It doesn't matter how fresh it is at the supermarket. Nothing is going to compare in taste and flavor to the tomatoes that you've grown yourself. So there we go. Now, very, very, very important is to regularly water your new seedlings. Can you see this one here? It's already starting to show the signs of suffering. You know, it's not standing up tall, but don't worry. It just needs to settle into its new home. It needs some water. I'm going to give it really good watering now. And every day I'm going to water them. And also what's important to know is that it is too early to plant your tomatoes outside. There's still a risk of frost at nighttime, and the frost will just kill the tomatoes. So I'm not going to be planting these into the ground yet. And also I need them to get a bit bigger, a bit stronger, develop their roots more. So what I'm going to do, I don't have a greenhouse. So every day I'm going to bring the plants outside, let them get the sunshine. If it's a really windy day, I'll just make sure they're in a sheltered spot. And then at nighttime, I'll bring them inside. So out of this one little yogurt pot and 8 little seeds that germinated by themselves inside a tomato, I've now got 8 tomato plants. It's amazing. This kind of stuff fills me up. It's one of the reasons why I love gardening so much. And I hope it inspires you to also experiment and have fun with gardening.